Hello, everybody out there in Panther Country. This is Superintendent Tim Widiker coming to you with Panther Vodcast number 13. And my guests this afternoon are vocal music educators Sara Rowdy and Michelle Schmitt. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So I'll get started right away. Just jump right into it. Michelle, would you like to start by telling our viewers about your background?
Yeah, I sure can. I live in Spring Valley. My husband and I just recently finished, I guess, kind of building our house there, and we live in just outside of Spring Valley. I earned my bachelor's degree from University of Wisconsin in River Falls in choral and general music education for kindergarten through 12th grades. This is my 11th year at St. Croix Central. I started my music background, or my music teaching, I should say, in Prescott. And I did a long-term sub for the Prescott Middle School there. And then I moved on to Elmwood, and I was the K-12 choral and general music teacher there. And then I also co-direct the musicals here. And in my spare time, I hope I practice what I preach. I'm involved in a lot of musical activities in my own personal life. I'm in plays, whether I'm acting in plays or directing. I do some choreographing for other people. I participate in community choirs, and by singing or accompanying. I direct a children's choir in the community, and I'm also my church's organist.
Wow. All right. Well, I learned something more about you already in the first couple minutes. Sara, what you'd like to tell our viewers about your background?
Sure. Currently I live in Baldwin, and she had a really better answer, I feel like, but I went to school at River Falls, and we actually knew each other at school, which is funny. She was a little bit older, but we had fun there. I have a son and a couple of cats, and I really enjoy life day to day. It's always a good time, right?
So you told us a little bit about your family. Would you like to maybe tell us anything else about your family, Sara?
Well, I have a brother in Hudson and a niece, so that's really awesome. And my parents are still very involved. They come to our concerts, and they're in Luck. So that's where I grew up. Originally was in Luck, Wisconsin. Went to high school up there. That's a family, obviously, but yeah, my family.
And Sara, Michelle, tell us about your family.
Okay. Well, I was very proudly born in Iowa, and we moved to Wisconsin when I was about 13, I think. So I feel like Wisconsin, actually in Elmwood, is my home. That's kind of where I call home, and my parents are still here in Wisconsin. I had 3 younger brothers, and now I have 3 young sons with my husband, Greg. Greg was from Pepin, but he runs a family business called Schmitt Timber in Spring Valley. And Max, our son, is in 7th grade. Will is in 4th grade, and Sam is in 2nd grade. And we spend a lot of time with their athletic events. They kind of follow in each other's footsteps, and they were all in football. And right now we're in the thick of wrestling season. I'll be leaving here to go to our first wrestling match this evening. And we like doing outdoor stuff like skiing and camping and biking and all that fun stuff.
So Sara, why did you choose a career in music education?
I never actually thought of anything else, which is something that I reflect on now, because it was in middle school, I started helping out with my teacher, actually. She asked, because I played piano, and so she asked me to start accompanying. And from that time forward, it was like I couldn't picture ever doing any other career. I also didn't do a very good job investigating any other career. I just kind of got tunnel visioned on that path. But I was very active with helping my teacher teach, and very active with accompanying anybody and everybody, including church. And then in college, that just continued. I was always the right hand for my professors. I always played piano. I always helped teaching. I wasn't stellar at the performance angle, but I was always on top of the education angle. I was always helping teach somebody else how to do something musically.
So it's your destiny, you're saying?
Yes.
And you, Michelle?
I'm not quite like Sarah. I'll start with my parents put me in piano lessons when I was just 3 years old. And for me, it was like a first language. I just grew up just knowing it. I don't remember learning how to play piano. I don't remember learning how to read music. It just always was something that I did. It's been an integral part of my life. And what I meant by wasn't quite like Sarah was my parents always told me that I would be a music teacher. And like the true teenager, I argued a lot with them about that. But when it got to be time to really start looking at colleges and a career, it really seemed like the natural choice for me. And looking back on it now, I went into music education, and I get to spend my day playing piano and singing all day long. And there are definitely challenges with being a choir teacher or a teacher or a middle school teacher, but when it boils down to it, I really sing and play piano all day, and I love it and get paid for it. So it's really great.
So there are a lot of schools in the state. You'd mentioned you've spent time at Spring Valley and Elmwood both, but you've been at SCC now for a long time. Why SCC?
Well, I've thought for a long time, and I've shared it with others, that I think Central is really a great place to work. I think the educational field has had a lot of turmoil, certainly politically, and I think our school board and administration have really worked hard to maintain a positive atmosphere for a long time and kind of put their best foot forward and maintain high standards. And I think it took a while, but it did trickle down, and I think we have a pretty positive atmosphere here and pretty close-knit staff. And so it's just really a great feeling to be here and feel valued and do a good job with great staff and great students.
Happy to hear that. And Sarah, same question. Why SCC?
Truthfully, it was because it was the first school that hired me right out of college.
So why have you stayed?
Yeah, I stay because of all the reasons Michelle mentioned. You know, it really has come along. It's really proven to be very stable, and it's also come a long way in the sense of the arts. I mean, you know, we did just build the auditorium. We have had a lot of support really, really grow through the years, and it's been really fun to see that momentum change and how much people want from us and how much they support us, and that's really awesome.
So Sarah, you mentioned it's come a long way. Kind of bring us back to like your first year here, kind of, you know, your thoughts and memories from there, and then maybe the progression along the way from your first year until now in the program.
Yeah, I can do that. And I don't want to be too honest, but I will honestly tell you my first year here was kind of awful. It was really, really rough. The music program wasn't as is now, maybe is a nice way to put it. They were used to having study halls a lot of the time, and they were used to singing a lot more show tunes. And I was also teaching 612 at the time. When I was hired, I taught everything. So it wasn't like it is now. And so it was very challenging, and the kids the high school warmed up to me a lot faster than the middle school did. The middle school took a little more time to understand that, you know, choral music is an art, but it's an art that you have to work at and you have to actually do things in. You can't just have a study hall every other day. You have to actually do work in class. So through the years now, that has, like I said, that has really changed. And the kids no longer, they actually, when you get to, at least my students now, when they get to watch a movie, like when we put on our pop concert and they actually get to see some of the movie that they're performing, they think that's the reward now. They never ask for study halls anymore. They enjoy the work now. They've actually embraced the work to the art to achieve success. And they are really excited. This week, actually, we decided to add a show choir and they drove that. And so they're really, it's just through the years, it's really changed and morphed more than I even ever anticipated it would. It's really come into this, to its own, if you will. And it is a really exciting time for choral music, I think, at SCC right now.
Michelle, can you explain your impressions and your memories from your first year, and then the same thing, the progression from then until now?
Sure. Well, my first year, like I said, this is my 11th year, and so it's thinking back kind of a long ways, but I started actually as a half-time teacher. So my mornings were spent teaching 5th through 7th grade choral and general music. And then I had afternoons to work one-on-one with students as a para. I think, yeah, that's about all I can remember about my first year. Just pretty gradual stepping in my first year. My next year, though, I was already full-time. I didn't fill my afternoons with more middle school, though I went to the elementary and filled the rest of my day with kindergarten music. So I had a really busy day, but now I teach 5th through 8th grade choral and general music. And the progression is that it's really nice. I'm able to give a lot more lessons during the day, which I didn't get to do at all when I first started. Actually, a 7th and 8th grade get to take band or choir or general music. And this year and last year, students all chose to be in band or choir, and that freed up my general music time to give more lessons and work individually with students. Out of a group of 70 or 75 students, I can work in small groups and work with them on their sight singing and things like that. The biggest progression I see as an accomplishment is the program that Sara and I have been using to teach sight reading skills, which is much more challenging than it would seem. But it's such an abstract idea to sight sing, because there are no buttons to push when you start reading music. It's a very mental challenge. And Sara and I took the same course to learn how to teach sight reading, and we're trying to align together to work on that. And I think that's come a long ways. And I'm still learning new things every year and every month or every week even about how to teach that. And it's really become really exciting, because I see some of these middle school students now reading more than what I could do at their level. I could probably play any of their songs on the piano, but to just take the piano and the teacher out of it and sing it on my own, these kids are learning at a faster pace than I think I did at that age. It's really exciting.
So how do you teach a student to have an ear and recognize when they're on key or off key? How do they, what are some of the strategies for that?
Well, the strategy that I use and that we learned in our course is a lot of that for the ear that you're talking about, and the pitches that we use is practice and using. And I will model something and they will copy it. And I also have a game that we play. It's a little challenge between myself and the different classes, and singing patterns. And one of them is forbidden. They can't sing it. So if I sing it and they accidentally copy me, then I get a point, or vice versa. And it's just developing the ear and listening to the patterns, and just by simply using it over and over and over.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we're pretty unique. I don't think it's that common to require, and I like how you put it, they get to take music education instead of have to take music education. I like that mindset. But at the middle school level, we give students get to take either band and or choir or general music, and that's certainly something I support, and I was pleased to see when I came here, and certainly something that contributes at the middle school level to having greater participation at the high school. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Sara.
Oh no, you can take it.
Yep. In 6th grade, we we ask that each student experience a performing group. And once they've experienced that, then they can choose after that if they want to be in band or choir or general music. And they can take more than one of those courses as well. Last year, I didn't have a 7th grade general music. And this year, I don't have either 7th or 8th grade because they've all decided they tried it and decided it's not too bad. I think I'll stick with it. And so we have every middle school student in band or choir. And we share quite a few of those students between the bands and choir as well. And of course, that builds their musicianship and hopefully, send them off to high school ready to, and not just be swallowed up by all the awesome things that the high school does, but at least be prepared for some stuff of what they do over there.
I wanted to just tag on, Tim, if it's okay. I wanted to tag on when you asked about how we train them to hear, and all of Michelle's talking about our universal system of teaching now. Is that okay if I take if we go back for a second?
Absolutely.
No, I just wanted to say that it's really, ear training is really tricky nowadays. And this is part of the reason that we went, it's actually Carol Krieger's method is what Michelle's talking about. But when I first started teaching, I would get so frustrated because the students didn't understand how to keep a beat or how to match the pitch or find the pitch necessarily. And that's why we went to the method we went to, because actually Carol Krieger's method went with the philosophy that our kids aren't just born with it, that we have to teach them it. And so that's what we are doing with this method actually, is we are teaching them how to keep a beat, not just expecting them to have rhythm. We're actually teaching them how to have that rhythm. We're actually teaching them through solfege how to train their ear and how to be able to do the music. And so we are training them, trying to train them to be, or trying to help them be musicians instead of just,
Jerry to the office.
Instead of just playing or just singing music back to us that we play for them on the piano, we are actually helping them understand that they are also musicians, that choir is also a musician, or being a choral member is also a musician just as much as being a band member is. That's part of what we are now really, really trying to reinforce and trying to teach.
And how long ago did you go to implementing that 6-12?
I would say it was 6 years ago. It was about halfway through my career, just a little over half.
And have you seen the results of that being implemented, in 6th grade? Did you see the fruits of that in high school?
Oh yeah, way. Like I said, so they want to add, just this last week, they voted to add a show choir. And
Jerry to the office, please. Jerry to the office.
We wouldn't have, and this is the funny thing, is because we are teaching them how to be musicians, they can read music so much faster now. They can do a show choir. Like, they actually understand the music. They can learn the music now in a month, and that gives them still a month to learn and create dance moves before the concert. Where when I first started teaching the way I was taught to teach, it took the full 2 months just to teach them how to sing a harmony together. Now they understand, because they're reading their own notes, they understand how to put the harmony together right away.
Yeah, Jerry, will you please go to the office? Thank you. So you mentioned choreography. That's something I've seen at both your shows. You want to talk about that? How choreography fits into your programs?
Mine is student driven, actually. I will admit, I am not a dancer. I am not good at dancing. I will never claim to be. I will sometimes use that as a scare tactic if they don't come up with their dance on time. So just in these last few years, we've really had students step up, and they're actually the dance academy, that local dance academy that we work with, is producing some of these fruits, I think, too, and they are actually in my choir, and so they step up and want to do it a lot. So like the White Christmas medley at the last concert was all done by the students.
Yeah. Okay. Michelle?
Choreography is something I really enjoy, and that's part of what I really like doing in the plays that we do, and I do that outside of school in my own time. I have not put a whole lot of choreography into like the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade choir, being that I see them every other day. It doesn't allow for quite as much time, but the 5th grade, I typically put choreography in there, and I find that it helps them learn and remember the music a little bit faster, and they seem to really like it too. we usually puts a smile on the face and puts a smile on Grandpa and Grandma's face, and I just really enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun certainly to watch. I know some kids don't exactly like to dance. I get that part. I call it dancing, but yeah, I mean, you keep it fairly simple and make it fun. And like you said, there's certainly something to that, and we'll talk about learning and brain development next. But yeah, the kinesthetic part and the mind and body are connected, and how physical motion can help, memory and retain the lyrics better, and all that is totally connected. So that's a good segue into what kind of wanted to talk about next, and that's the impact of music on student development. I know I've had this conversation before about how, obviously music is certainly unique and can be very difficult, but you're getting, the one neat part about it is you're getting instant feedback. We talk about formative and summative assessments a lot. Formative is as you go, and certainly doesn't get any more real time than music.
No, it doesn't.
So who would like to start about maybe just talking about music and the impact it has on student development?
I can take that, I guess. It's kind of hard to put into words, I think, because I think as music teachers, we feel that already because we've experienced it. And so for me, I feel like it's hard to put into words, but I did try, kind of wrote down some notes on this one because it was hard. But I think one of the big ones is that music increases language and decoding skills, because reading music is a language, and you are decoding that language every time that you're performing it. And our district has had a huge focus on literacy for years. And so that's a huge impact in our classroom and hopefully on other classrooms as well. And we know that there are musical and mathematical connections, and there are cultural and historical connections when you learn about a piece from a different culture, a different time in history. You create teamwork with your group when you're performing together. And another skill that I think is maybe absent in some students, or at least some really struggle, is having to work together and follow one director. We have such an individual society, and it's about the individual, and sometimes it's hard for people to work together and follow one person very, very closely. So that, I think, is a big skill that is really valuable in our world because we're very individualized. And then probably the biggest one, I think, is really hard to quantify, so maybe sometimes it's not justified, is that the connection to just human emotions, it can't be measured. And so since it's not quantified, sometimes it's kind of cast aside. You can't measure it. But it really connects us all, and I think that's maybe the biggest impact.
It's a great point. Music is certainly very, very emotional. There's no doubting that.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah?
It is. I also have read books on this, and of course, could I remember to pull anything up in my brain today? No, but the stuff I wrote down too was personal stories. Music affects the different side of the brain when learning and remembering things. And so, like my grandmother, who passed away with Alzheimer's, she was able to play piano up until the end, even though she couldn't remember necessarily who we were. It affects a totally different part of the brain than other stuff does. And even a very good friend of mine now from church is suffering a fast-acting Alzheimer's, and she was a music major also and did music all her life. And so people are taking turns now going and singing with her, and she remembers the hymns, and she remembers the songs, and she remembers music. And so that's what I think is something that we need to remember. It really does touch a whole different side of the brain than other learning does, and it opens it up to help you learn, kind of what Michelle was saying, opens up the rest of your brain to learn all the other stuff too. And then I also wrote down that it really helps us as a human, because we can turn to music for all of our emotions and all of our needs. And I know it's very sad that we have suffered so much tragedy here, but every time we've suffered that tragedy, my students come and they flock in here and they flood in here and they go into the choir library and they choose the songs they want to sing. and they pull them out, and that's what we always end up doing. Those when that happens, it's something that really helps people heal and helps people come together. And then finally, I kind of wrote down the same thing that Michelle did. It also helps us, or helps students, find a place to fit. A lot of times by the time they get to high school, people have kind of found a niche, if you will. And we do help those people that have not found necessarily an outlet through a sport. We help them find a different outlet to fit in, because we also are a team and we have to work together as a team to achieve the success we want to achieve. And so shirts, and I think that really unifies them, and that really does help them have a place.
Absolutely. Something I'm very proud of at St. Croix Central we do is we offer certainly something for everyone, and like you said, where kids can find a niche. A personal story of mine, Mrs. Hopkins asked me to play the Christmas music, at the middle school right before Christmas. The staff, joined the staff band, and I hadn't played my trumpet for 25 years. And I picked it up and I was amazed how the brain works. I remembered I could play it, just picked up the music. Not that it's really complex music, but just remember all the fingerings and stuff. And actually I'd sold gave my trumpet away long ago, and so I was using my son's. But yeah, it was pretty neat. I was really amazed at how I could remember that. Now with the trumpet, obviously your lips have to be in shape, and they got a little numb after a while, but that was a pretty neat experience. And then they talk about emotion. Yeah, I do a lot of driving, and I've got quite a variety of songs on my iPhone, and if I'm not listening to a podcast or an audiobook, I'm listening to music. And it's, we as music consumers, we can all relate about the right song for the right mood we're in. Sometimes you just want to get a up-tempo rocking out song if you want to be pumped up or you're happy, or sometimes it's sad slow song, or I go from country to techno to heavy metal. It all depends on your mood, but it certainly reinforces the idea that music is definitely emotional. So I'd read not too long ago that all real learning that's going to stick has to be tied to emotion. The two are so interconnected.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
The next thing I'd like to talk about is kind of our facilities. You alluded to it a little bit a little earlier, Sarah, and actually you had the great pleasure of being one of the first performance, your high school choir in the new space, December, I believe that was 19th. It was an amazing night that anybody in attendance will never forget. So would you like to talk about some of our new spaces, and specifically the auditorium?
Yes, I can do that. Our auditorium is very nice. We had the pleasure of helping you guys kind of decide how it should look, and so that it was really nice that we were listened to, and we have a nice big stage that was really awesome. And then the shell is beautiful and closes off that stage perfectly acoustically. We actually, true story, we watched it today as part of our final. I had the kids watch the concert and reflect on all of how they performed and what they can do better next time. And so we talked in depth too about utilizing the full stage and how we can actually move better, like when we do our dances, and how we can even sing in different arrangements now where they can sing out on stage. And as you know, there are 2 aisles down to the stage. And so my students sang in the aisles, and then they worked their way up on stage using the stairs. And we utilized as much as we could because we only had a couple of days to practice. But now we talked today about how we can utilize it better. And it is really, really nice that the men's and women's ensembles can go out to the front of the stage now, and we'll still have the risers and the deeper in the stage, and just, utilizing, it's really a really nice space. The sound room is also very state-of-the-art. Our lights are state-of-the-art. So everything that we're going to be using now in the future is going to be ahead of our neighbors, I think, and that's going to be really neat. That's how it works.
Yep, we have the full fly system, which creates a lot of flexibility, great storage. Actually, a side point, we were doing a walkthrough just Tuesday, and the humidifier isn't hooked up on the piano storage room yet, so that's on the punch list. But nice storage, climate controlled there for the beautiful grand piano. Nice storage area for the acoustical shell, and of course all the support spaces behind. Large costume storage area, large dressing room with plenty of mirrors and spaces and facilities, and then like you said, the stage is it's huge, and then a huge scene storage space behind it as well. Very, like you said, very well laid out. Took a lot of time and the thought put into that to design it, and it's just turned out wonderful. Now the plan district wide. Maybe Michelle, you want to talk a little bit about the plans, and are the concerts going to be in there, and which concerts and things like that for our viewers?
Sure. Some of that is a little bit up in the air yet because, we're really excited to move into the auditorium. This space is certainly designed for the band and the choir performances, and so we're really happy to move from the multipurpose room to the auditorium and have a little bit more space with our audiences and great acoustics, and it's a beautiful setting. So that's really exciting. It will be a challenge to put the band and the choir performances together into the same concert. I think Sara and Jason did a really, really great job seamlessly moving from one to the other in the last concert. And I don't know if that's the plan, but it really was really nice how they did that. It might be a little more challenging to ask the middle school students to do that. So I think we're still in planning stage. Our first concert is going to be together, and we don't know how we're going to do that. And also it'll be challenging to bus the students over there for dress rehearsals as well. So that first concert will be just kind of an experience, a trial by error. And we're going to love it anyways because it's going to sound amazing. And I think the kids will be really excited to be in that space and feel really valued and important on stage. And then we'll have to kind of go from there to figure out how we're going to do the rest of the concert.
So that's music. There's also, we're talking about expanding and having more theater or drama as well. You want to speak maybe a little bit about that?
For myself? For me?
Yes.
Okay. I direct the middle school plays. I co-direct with Taylor Moe, and we always do a musical with the 5th through 8th grade, and I'm really excited to bring that to the auditorium. One of the challenges will be to fill the really big stage with the sets and the movements. It'll be a very different experience than doing it in the multi-purpose room. So that we'll need a lot of rehearsal time to work those things out, and Mrs. Dumont will have her own set of challenges building more sets to fill the space. But I'm really excited. We are going to be putting on Legally Blonde Jr. for our play this spring, in May actually. And the music is really catchy. It'll be really fun sets, and everybody in that play is just really bubbly and exciting. So it'll be a really fun kind of way to bring in my part of for the middle school.
And at the high school, we are adding a class, actually, a theater class now that we have I did this years ago. Michelle's talked about how long she's been here, and I've been here longer than she has. But years ago, I tried a theater class, and it was a success, but it happened once, and then it was done because all the theater kids took it. And so I've been working with the administration here on how we can have it more like an art program where the kids could take it more than 1 year, where they could maybe step into different roles by taking it multiple years. Maybe they take it for a couple of years and then they become the director, or maybe they take it and they want to do behind the scenes work, or maybe they want to, everyone keeps pushing me to do more of the technical aspects, and I just keep telling them we will when we get trained, but we can't do that yet. But someday we can probably do that too. But anyway, so we are starting a theater class next week too, that I haven't done, like I said, for years. But the very first thing out the gate is going to be for them to put on a 1-act, hopefully on stage, hopefully for a live audience.
Yeah, we talk about barriers, trying to remove barriers and open up opportunities and windows for kids. And yeah, certainly a barrier to a theater class is not having a theater. Certainly makes it a little more meaningful now that we have an auditorium.
Yeah.
So
I think they'll be a little more excited. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Lastly, would each one of you like to talk about your vision of your program? What vision do you have for your program over the next few years? Michelle, would you like to start, please?
Yep, sure. I think we're really on a good track with aligning our programs. I like that we separate the grades. Instead of a middle school choir, we have 6th grade choir, 7th grade, and 8th grade. I like that. I think it's good that we are offering the extra opportunities for kids that want to go the extra mile and experience more. We have kids going to Singing in Wisconsin. That's a festival in November. It's just an extra program that they can join that's considered an honors group for kids that are looking for more. We, of course, take part in solo ensemble, and I give plenty of solo opportunities. We are rehearsing right now for an 8th grade honors choir that we have next week. I think Sara really does a great job at the high school with the kids' sight singing, and certainly with their vocal skills are tremendous. And I think we're doing a good job aligning those curriculum or that curriculum together from the middle school and high school. So I feel like we're really on track with where we need to be, and we continue to grow. I continue to grow after 11 years here and then more other places, but I certainly continue to grow constantly on how I'm teaching the music and sight singing part of it, because ultimately I think our goal is for our choir students to be independent learners and not need an instrument or a choir teacher to help them. So eventually someday they can pick up a piece of music and they know how to do it without anything or anyone. And I think we're on a good track with it.
It's a great thing about education, growth. I mean, it's constantly evolving, and people look at sometimes change is a bad thing, but I certainly view it as a positive thing. That's one of the reasons we're all in education, and personally, it's something that's very enjoyable. But even more so, for kids to see them grow is just why we do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Your vision, Sara?
Yeah, excellence. I really have driven home to the kids that we do treat music like a sport. Like we do work hard in here, and we really do achieve success. And this year, especially, we've been talking about that a lot because we really did hit the ground running. We got a grant right out the gate from the local barbershop group. And in order to get that grant, we had to go sing at their festival, which was right the beginning of October. So they really haven't had a break this year. My kids basically have hit the ground running and haven't stopped, because then we also had the auditorium to be in and to put a show on, and we felt obligated to make that a meaningful night. But so that's the analogy I kind of give them, is that we have to work as hard as anybody does in their given love, when they're given whatever, that we're a teamwork, and we have to work as a team to achieve that next level at all times, and that we have to motivate each other and just be as excellent as we can be. And another awesome thing that I think is great is every time we go on tour, which is actually every other year now, we go to a college and we sing, and those colleges always talk about how great our students do, and then usually they invite us back. And I've had other colleges now reaching out to me to come and sing at their college on one of our tours. So it's just, I keep driving them to be better. And I think we are working on that. And I think Michelle is right that we are doing a really good job trying to do that. But I really drive home that we are striving to achieve excellence. We want to get the top ratings. We want to win the gold, if you will, every time we go out to do something. And they usually buy into it because they're usually as competitive as I am. So we work really, really hard, and we are always going for that next level.
Well, final thoughts. I know I want to thank you both for taking time this afternoon to talk more about vocal education here at SCC with our viewers. I know our vision at SCC is to be a district respected by others as a model of excellence in student achievement. And that student achievement certainly encompasses what I always talk about, the 3 A's: academics, arts, and athletics. And so that we can make opportunities for our kids to be as well-rounded as possible and do as much as they want to do before they leave our hallways. And we have some real fine examples of students that have went into music education or continuing their careers. And as we saw on December 19th, we had some of them come back and just still wanted to be a part of it. And I told them, I feel really bad for you guys. You missed it by a year. And they're like, no, we didn't. We're here. We're experiencing it. But no, it's a great thing. So thank you very much. Thank you both very much for again, spending the time this evening. Have a great night.
Yep, you too.
All right. Thanks.